Weirdest people in life are sisters that are obsessed with their brother and then brothers that are obsessed with their sisters.
So I'm just thinking back to the time when I dated this guy who was unusually close to his sister, like uncomfortably close. And I can be a little jealous. So at first I just thought that I was being crazy. The first time that I went to his house, he was like, "My sister's so excited to meet you," because he and his sister were adult roommates. Then we were all hanging out. She was hanging out in his room with us, and she ended up staying in there until like 2 a.m. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. She seems nice. But then every time I came over, the same thing would happen, and I'd just kind of be sitting there, and eventually I'd be like, I kind of want to go to bed. Then I would go to bed, and they would go hang out in her room. And they were always like wrestling and like punching each other. He was always like picking her up and putting her over his shoulder. Then he started hanging out at my house more. And she would FaceTime him pretty much every single night. And she even FaceTimed him crying one night. And she was like, "I just can't believe you've put this relationship above your own sister. I feel like we're not even close anymore." And he up and left right then and there. Like, we were about to eat dinner. He acted like it was a family emergency. And I'm thinking, like, y'all FaceTime every single night, and you live together. But then what did it for me was that we were all hanging out at the beach, and he and his sister were playing catch. Then she, like, tackled him in the sand, and then when she got up, he smacked her butt 3 times in a row. Before this point, I had thought, okay, they have a close sibling relationship. It might be different from mine and my brother's, but I'm just being jealous. I'm just being crazy. But that sent me over the edge. She also told me that their older sister was like a psychic, and she had done like a reading for them. And she had told them that they were soulmates and that they had been in love in a past life. And that's why they had such a close relationship. She would also always bring up how she and his ex-girlfriend were like mortal enemies, and how she was trying to get him to leave her for years. And she would bring up how when they were little, they would take baths together, and it like got weird. But she would bring it up like, you know, like kids when they're little taking baths together, like they get weird. And like, okay, fine, maybe, I don't know, but why are you bringing it up? Why do I need to know this? She also would always talk about how handsome he was, and she would always be like, "You're so lucky." Like, I've always said, I just want to find someone that's just like him.
When I broke my foot as a gymnast, I had to crawl on my hands and knees away from where I fell because my coach didn't believe that I was hurt, and she thought I was wasting everybody's practice time by sitting there. I also had insane conditioning punishments for getting hurt. I did predict my injury like seconds before it happened, but I'll get to that in a second. This happened at the very beginning of practice on bars, and I was getting spotted by a coach because I was doing like a newish skill. There were all these mats like stacked up around the bar where I was going because we were all learning like new skills. There ended up being a space in between 2 of the mats, and right before I went, I was like, "Can we please fix the mats? Like, I'm going to fall and land in between these 2 mats and get hurt." My coach was like, "No, we're not fixing the mats. You're being dramatic. Like, just go take your turn. Nothing is gonna happen." And my very first turn of the day, what happens? My feet land right in the crack where I knew they were going to. At first, I thought I was like okay, so like I tried to stand up, and then that's when I realized like I wasn't okay. And the coach that spotted me was like super nice, and he was like checking on me. I knew I like wasn't allowed to cry, so I was like trying so hard not to, but it also made it like really hard for me to talk. And so I finally was able to get out like the words like "I'm not okay" to the one coach that was like checking on me, the one that was spotting me. After I sat there for about like 1 minute, the head coach was like, "Okay, get up." And I was like, "I can't." And she's like, "Okay, move. Like, you figure out a way to move. You're wasting everybody's practice time by sitting under the bar." The first thought that popped into my head was like, okay, I better crawl. Like, that's the only way I know how I'm gonna move. So I crawled like a couple inches off the floor, off the mat, and just like sat there. Like, I was barely not underneath the bar. I was sitting like a foot away from being like underneath the bar so that everybody could like take their turn. And then the coach that was like spotting me came up to me, and my foot was like already swelling. So he got me like a bucket of ice to stick my foot in. I iced it for a while, but it was getting worse. And then my coach was like, "If you're not going to do anything, go home." So I called my mom to come pick me up. But this is when I was living away from my family. So she had to drive like 2 hours to come get me. When my mom picked me up, we went to those like quick ER places, and they misdiagnosed me and told me that like my foot was just like sprained. When I went back to gym the next day, I had this huge list of conditioning / punishments that included a 10-minute handstand hold and like 50 or 100 presses. I don't remember, but I had to do it all with my boot on. At least I got to keep my boot on because when I got hurt before, she wouldn't let me wear my boot. Let me know if you want that story. She also made me get acupuncture in my foot. After 3 weeks of my foot not getting better, it was like getting worse. We went back to the doctor and found out that it was broken.
Why is my best friend actually in love with my boyfriend? My boyfriend plays soccer, but he's on 2 different club teams, so I don't make it to all his games. But my best friend will text me every time before his game. I don't know how she finds out he has a game, because he said he didn't tell her, like, there's no one else on the team that she knows. And also, he's the only person that's on both the teams. Like, no one else is on both of these club teams. So there would be no one else that she would be asking or going there for. So every time that I say I'm not going to the game, she's there. And he tells me. But, like, she's never been to a game that I'm at. And the weird part is, like, his games, even the home ones, are, like, at least 20 minutes away. And the away ones are even farther. And she goes to the far-ass away ones that I can't make it to. Now, I've known about this for a while since it started because he's been telling me. But I haven't said anything or done anything about it because I was like, whatever. Maybe there's another reason she's there. I don't know. She's just bored, needs something to do. But he said that, like, every game, she'll come over and be like, good job, congrats, blah, blah, blah. Or, I'm sorry if they lost, whatever. Last week, at his game, he said that she, like, was coming over to him and, like, starting conversation. And she was talking to him, it was super duper flirty, and he just kept saying, like, I have to go, I have to go. And he got in his car and called me and told me about it right away. So now I'm getting ready to go to his game, and I told her that I'm not going. If she's there, then I'm gonna confront her and be like, what the fuck? Which, by the way, I know she'll freaking be there because she's at every single one. And, like, I guess there's been other instances where, like, the 3 of us have been together, like, at a party, whatever, in school, where she has been kind of flirty, but I was just always like, okay, I'm right next to her. So I guess at the last game, she, like, went over to him after the game was over, and she was like, she pulled up this picture on her phone of, like, this girl on her boyfriend's back, like, after one of his soccer games, and she was like, can we recreate this picture? And he was like, no. He was like, no, and I have to leave. But he showed it to me. Like, he found the picture that she was showing him, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, you don't take that with someone that's not your boyfriend, let alone your best friend fucking boyfriend. No. But I'm actually excited to go and confront her. Me and my boyfriend have been together for, like, almost 2 years now, and everything was fine up until recently. They never even really talked unless I was there up until her and her boyfriend broke up, maybe, like, 4 months ago, and that's when she started going to all his games. Okay, I also just remembered this other thing that happened that, like, I didn't think it was that weird at the time, but she had texted me and was like, hey, can we hang out? And I was like, sorry, I'm with my boyfriend right now, but if you wait until, like, blah, 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 whatever time, we get to hang out, do whatever. And so she's like, okay. And then she shows up at my house, knocks on my door, and was like, let's go to Target. All 3 of us can go. I was like, okay. Like, I was kind of fine with it because I was like, whatever, like, we have nothing to do anyways. We'll just go. She made him drive, but raced me. Literally sprinted to his freaking car and sat in the front seat. And me and him just looked at each other, like, okay.
These are all the things my best friend of 13 years did to me that made me cut her the fuck off. Also, this is your sign to stop keeping shitty people in your life just because you've known them a long time and you go way back. Because going way back means nothing if they treat you like fucking garbage. So number 1, if I liked or showed interest or even got the slightest bit of joy out of something in this world, she had to fucking hate it. And I don't mean just hate it. She had to despise it. She loved to just go on and on about how terrible she thought the things I liked were every single time that we hung out. It was so fucking weird. It wasn't like dislike, like it was passionate hate. And I swear she would like half these things until I liked it and then she had to hate it. Another thing she would do is intentionally like reach and go out of her way to make me feel unimportant, not good enough, like etc., ugly, whatever the case scenario was, not interesting enough. Like she would just gas the living shit out of everyone around us, like all of our other friends, but make sure she never gave a single compliment to me. But when I say gas up everyone else, I mean like worship the fuck out of every single girl in the friend group except for me. I was like, girl, what did I ever do to you? And since she had that cute little era where she hated everything I liked, the only thing I ever really got from her was criticism, whether it was like about how ugly my outfit was or how stupid my style was or whatever the fuck. Like she literally wanted me to know how unimportant she thought I was. Like it was her fucking mission. And that's like a dumbass little thing girls will do if they're like jealous of you or they give you like I want to be you vibes, is they will purposefully just gas up every single person except for you, especially if they think you're like the prettiest person in the friend group or whatever. Not saying I fucking was, but definitely she thought I was because she made it her goddamn mission to make me feel unimportant. But as for the one thing we did have in common, we both always wanted to be YouTubers since we were super, super little. That solidified for me. And it eventually became my full-time job. And like immediately after my channel blew up, she tried to start her own channel, posted like 2 videos, and then fucking gave up. But ever since that, she's been breaking her goddamn back trying to get me to quit. I shit you not, this girl would call me up randomly and be like, I don't think you should continue social media. Like, internet hate can get really bad. Like, out of fucking nowhere. As if I've never, like, gotten internet hate. Like, as if I don't know what it is. Or if I have, like, a really good month with views or something, she'll be like, oh, social media is so oversaturated. Like, I really think you should, like, quit or, like, find something else. And that quote they say, that's, like, the only people that will talk you out of going after your dreams are the people that already gave up on theirs, is fucking accurate. Also, genuine question, like, are you fucking dumb? Like, you think I'm gonna, like, get off the phone with you and be like, she's right, I might get hate, I have to quit? Like, what the actual fuck? I hate when dumbass people call me telling me dumbass shit. Not to mention, when I was going through one of the most toxic relationships of my entire life, like, fully being, like, traumatized, she stopped being friends with me because I wouldn't break up with him. As if it's, like, that fucking easy. And I don't know, I don't care if y'all come for me for this shit. The way I look at it is, I will be there for my friends no matter if I fucking agree with it or if I don't. I'm not afraid to tell them if they're wrong, but even if I think they made a stupid decision, I will never fucking abandon them. After I finally dumped him, obviously she came crawling back into my life, and guess what the situation was? She was in her own little toxic relationship, and I was there for her like a fucking dumbass. Where was she when I was going through mine again? Oh yeah, she fucking left me. Can't even say anything though, because that's my own dumbass fault. Honestly, the list goes on and on forever, but this is getting a little long, so let me know if you guys want a part 2. But always remember, just because you've known that they existed a little longer than the next guy, doesn't mean that they're still not a shitty person.
Things that my ex-best friend would do, but it gets worse with each one. Every time I would have braids and somebody would compliment me on them and be like, oh, your braids are so cute, she would make sure to tell them, oh, but that's not her real hair. That's plastic hair. That's horse hair. Like, she would do that every single time. She could never stand it when I would get compliments from people. Like, for example, there was this one time where she sent a snap of me and her to her friend. And her friend responded saying like, oh, your friend is really pretty. And I thought that was really sweet. But then she proceeded to send a snap back. But instead of sending a normal snap, she put her phone in my face like this up close to find like an ugly angle. And she was like, no, but she's not pretty in real life. She's not pretty in real life. And I was like, girl, what the fuck? And every time I would confront her on these things, she would just be like, oh, it's just a joke. You're so sensitive. I'm just joking. Relax. But like, why would you do that? And like so many times she would just take pictures of me and make them like purposely ugly. Like she would always take like those 0.5 pictures of my forehead or like double chin pictures and always try to take ugly pictures of me. Every time we would work on a school project together, she would always lie to get out of it. Like we would always be paired in a group together, and every time we would have to do the work and split it 50-50, she would find excuses to not do it. She would always just find the weirdest reasons. So I would always have to do the projects by myself. And I knew she was lying. Like it was such obvious lies, but she would never admit to it. There was this one time in school where we accidentally both broke something, and we basically had to confess to breaking it. So I told my mom that I broke that with her on accident, and my mom told the teachers just to inform them. And when the teachers confronted us about it, just being like, oh, did you break that? I was like, yeah, we broke it on accident, sorry. And she just started crying and saying that I'm lying and basically was like, oh no, she did it on her own, I didn't do anything. And just because she was crying, everybody believed her. So then she turned like all the teachers and her parents against me, and they all thought I was trying to frame her, even though we both did it together. Like, she never admitted to doing it, and her parents hated me from that point on. And after she did all that, we were still friends. That was in elementary school, by the way. And her parents hated me. They hated me just because of that. And sometimes she would just tell me how her dad said he's gonna beat me up for it. Like, mind you, I was a child, and her dad threatened to fight me. This one time, her mom came into school and basically just yelled at me and said that I shouldn't be her friend because I'm a bad influence, even though I didn't do anything. Then in middle school, there was this one guy in my class, and he was like a huge racist, basically. He would always say the most racist stuff to me, and like, nobody ever really did anything. And mind you, she knew that he was doing all of that and how racist he was. After a while, I found out that she started talking to him, and they had like a thing. And I'm like, girl, she was my best friend, and she knew how he treated me and how racist he was. And she ended up getting with him. Like, excuse me? Another thing was, every time I would have a crush on a guy and I would tell her, she would start texting them. Either she would start texting them or she would follow them on Instagram or something like that. And she would all of a sudden have a crush on them too. Out of nowhere. So at some point when I had a crush on someone, I would just stop telling her because I knew that she would somehow try to get closer to them. I don't know why. Anytime I would get a compliment on like a shirt or a dress or whatever I was wearing, after a while, she would come back with the same things. Like, for example, if somebody said, oh, I really like your jacket, she would buy that same jacket and wear it a week after. And every time I'd be like, oh, like, I didn't know you had that. She would be like, oh, no, I had it before you. I bought it before you. You copied me. Like, bitch. So yeah, at some point, I got really fed up with being her friend. So I just started hanging out with other people. When I basically stopped hanging out with her and started hanging out with other people, she tried to bully me. Like, this girl was crazy. Every time I would be sick and stay home from school, she would go up to the teachers and tell them that I'm skipping school, which I never did, first of all. And I would only find that out from my other friends who were in school at that time. Every time I was in class just minding my own business and, for example, saying something to participate, she would make like negative comments in class and just try and make fun of me. So yeah, after a week of her doing that, I came up to her and I was like, girl, like, I've been noticing that you keep doing this, this, and this. Can you stop? Because it's really fucking annoying, right? So she was like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm gonna stop. And then we had class. And then after we got out of that class and I was gonna go home, she called my name and she comes up to me and she's like, oh, remember what we talked about earlier? And I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, basically, I changed my mind. I'm not gonna stop. Like, she was like, I'm not gonna stop because you deserve it. And I'm like, excuse me? The audacity. She just came up to me and was like, that I deserve that. For what? Bitch, I didn't do anything to you. And then she just turned around and she walked off, still feeling herself. And I was literally baffled. I did not know what to say. I was like, what the fuck? At some point I had to report her. She just didn't want to stop. Of course, she told the teachers that she didn't do anything and people believed her. So yeah, that was it. Obviously, we're not friends anymore and we're not in contact at all. So yeah.
Story time about how my dad cheated on my stepmom with my stepsister. Yeah. So a little background information. I was 14 years old and in 8th grade, and my mom and dad had gotten divorced after like 15 years of being together. And by the title of this story time, you guys probably aren't surprised at this, but he did not take long to remarry at all. He got married literally in that same year. And we're gonna call my stepmom Stephanie and my stepsister Leslie. At first, everything was normal. But then after a little bit, I started finding the relationship that my dad and Leslie had super weird. They would text each other all the time. They had way too many inside jokes. And they had long, weird eye contact. My thing is like, how are you gonna have a better relationship with your stepdaughter than you have with your own daughter? Anyways, so obviously, I'm not sitting here thinking that they have a secret relationship or anything like that. I'm just thinking that it's weird. But the one night, Leslie Snapchats me and she's like, I effed up really bad. And I respond and I'm like, what do you mean? And she just left me on red. I go to my dad's room because I need his charger, and that's whenever I see Leslie's jacket laying on the bed, which is weird because Leslie and I don't ever go into our parents' room. So obviously, I just think it's weird. I brush it off again. Well then, not that long later, I went into our room and I saw Leslie's phone open on our nightstand with text between her and my dad. And y'all, I felt like I was gonna projectile vomit whenever I saw these text messages. It was my dad saying, I can't stop thinking about you. And Leslie like, I wish we didn't have to sneak around, blah, blah, blah. So me, I screenshot all this and I sent it to my mom. And my mom did not hesitate to tell Stephanie what the F was going on. Obviously, at first, Stephanie's like, no, like that can't be, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom sends the receipts. Later on that night, whenever my dad came home, that house exploded. Stephanie was screaming and crying and throwing things at him. And my dad just stood there like a deer in headlights. I mean, at that point, what are you supposed to say? But at the same time, I don't know. And Stephanie kicked him out on the spot, as she should. Immediately after that, Stephanie filed for divorce and my dad moved out of state, probably because he didn't want to deal with the consequences of his own actions. But here's the crazy part. Whenever Leslie sent me a text saying I messed up bad, she wasn't even talking about the fact that she was effing around with my dad. She was talking about the fact that she was pregnant. Yeah. And I don't even know what happened with that baby, and I don't want to know.
Story time about how I was friends with probably the biggest pathological liar of all time. Story is about a girl, let's say her name was Kiana. And I tell you guys, this girl was the biggest liar I have ever known in my life. So Kiana had a boyfriend, like a guy friend, whose name was Josh. And she introduced me to Josh online. Like, she gave me his iCloud to message, not his phone number, but his iCloud. Josh would message me every day, and me and Josh also became very, very close friends. So Kiana was a friend that I really, really cared about. We just really connected on a lot of levels. She was really close to this Josh guy, and him and I also developed that same connection where we were so close. We would talk literally every single day. It was, like, honestly the first guy friend I ever had in my life. And she would always tell me and my friend that she did not like Josh at all. Eventually, because I was talking to him every day, I kind of liked him. Like, he was probably the first boy that I thought I really liked. He would always tell me things like I was so beautiful, and no one really ever made me feel that way before. I was so young, and also I didn't look good as a kid. But also keep in mind that I was literally 12, so my parents weren't going to allow me to go out and see a guy or anything. So Kiana kept pressuring me because she had a feeling that I liked him. She kept pressuring me, asking me if I liked him. And I told her I did like him, and she turned around and she said to me that he was hers, and like she actually did like him and she wanted to be with him and stuff. That was completely fine. I probably cared about Kiana more than I cared about Josh. Like, she was my best friend. Josh would still flirt with me and call me beautiful. He'd even say some dirty stuff. Around that time, Kiana told us that her and Josh had. I'll just tell you guys a couple facts about Josh. Lived in the nicest house on her street. Supposedly had like 8 bedrooms. He was pretty wealthy, obviously. He went to our school's brother school, but in a year level above. Maybe like 5 or 6 months into mine and Kiana's friendship, her and Josh start dating. She is at his house every day, or he's at her house every day, and she's skipping school nearly every day to go to Cheltenham shopping centre with him. So after they started officially dating, he stopped flirting with me. Actually became a bit rude to me. He just always put me down. Anyways, then a couple months later, they broke up and he became flirty to me again. And they broke up when she started dating this guy named Adrian from her dance school. And he followed me on Instagram because her and I were really close. Still remember exactly, but Adrian had 14 followers and he was super hot, like really hot. This was like literally the night before the last day of school in year 7. Josh got really drunk and he messaged me out of nowhere. We hadn't really spoken in maybe months. Started flirting with me out of nowhere, and he was being pretty dirty with it as well. Flirting with me so much and telling me I'm the most beautiful girl in the world and I was more beautiful than Kiana, and I was just kind of getting a bit freaked out. Then he started asking me about Kiana and Adrian, just asking about them a lot. So his questions slowly transitioned from asking about Kiana and Adrian to asking about me and Adrian, and also me and him. He was asking me which one out of the 2 of them I would rather give a to, like him or Adrian. I literally told him I feel extremely uncomfortable. Can we stop talking about this now? And then he was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And then completely stopped flirting with me. Then he started talking about how he really missed Kiana and he didn't mean anything that he was saying when he was flirting with me. I'm not really his type and all of that, but he was mainly saying that he really missed Kiana and he wanted her back. And while he is messaging me, Kiana is at a dance class with Adrian. My makeup is completely out of order, but I just remember this line. I have to put it in here. Her and Josh got back together. Anna hadn't got her period for a few weeks after she was meant to get it, and she was convinced that she was pregnant with Josh's baby. And me being an amazing friend I am, I literally went and bought a pregnancy test. Yeah, I forced her to take a pregnancy test, and turns out she wasn't pregnant. One day in December that year, I was scrolling through Tumblr and I come across a couple of pictures that look extremely familiar to me. One of them is a picture of a boy. It's Josh. On that same profile, there was a picture of the guy's bedroom, and it was a really nice big bedroom. The bedroom looked pretty similar to Josh's. So yep, I saw a picture that looked exactly like Josh, and then I saw a picture that looked exactly like Josh's bedroom, and it was on a Tumblr account that had like 500,000 followers. I didn't even say anything to Kiana. I just sent her the profile. Like, her immediate response was, oh, that's Josh's account, and she was like laughing, like, I was hoping you'd never find it, but yeah, that's Josh's account. And a lot of pictures on that account were pictures that she would show us. She was saying like, oh my god, I never wanted you to find the account because it's so embarrassing. he has pictures of us up. I was pretty sure she just found someone on Tumblr and she said that they were Josh. So I realized at this point that Josh was not real. He did not exist. It was a lie that was just so big. My brain never really processed it, like not for a long time. I always had my suspicions because only ever talking to an iCloud, I was never talking to a number. Like, why? She never wanted Josh to meet me or our other friend. And you know, he was just too good to be true. Now, after I realized that Josh was a lie, I obviously realized that even the pregnancy thing had to have been fake. His whole existence was a lie. I never confronted her on him being a lie, like his existence. To summarize, that he was fake, never existed. Fake person that I caught feelings for. A fake person that I talked to every day. And the whole time he was fake. The whole time Josh was actually Kiana. To the Tumblr thing, I knew it was all fake, but when it's a lie that big coming from your friends, literally a whole made up person that you were friends with, it's hard to believe it's a lie. It's like when you first find out about Santa Claus. Josh kind of wasn't brought up again for a long time. I didn't talk about him and she didn't really talk about him. I did distance from her a lot during the summer holidays, but then ended up coming back to school and needing my close friends. So like her and I became really close again. I hate using this word, but in year 8 I became friends with more of the popular people in school, like the crowd that would go out and party and meet boys and stuff, and that's how I started meeting more people and making a lot more friends. Kiana, of course, had to become friends with all of my friends. I introduced her to all of my friends and they all took a real liking to her. Literally everyone had grown an obsession with her and Josh's relationship. So all these girls really liked hearing about it. One of the girls in the group who went to my primary school trusted each other a lot. Literally just pulled me aside to ask me, like, do you think Josh is real? I was legit like to her, like, I don't know. I've never met him before. I had my suspicions months ago that he was fake, but I never really thought about it since. She said to me, like, look, I don't think he's real. She had like an older brother or an older cousin that was in the year level above us at our brother school. In the year level above us, so Josh's year level. She had asked him if this Josh person existed, and he said, I have never heard of that person in my life. He legit just had no idea who this Josh character was. He'd never heard of him before, and at that point I decided to take it upon myself. Did a little bit of digging and I found people with siblings who went to the school that Adrian supposedly went to, and I asked around about him and no one seemed to have heard about Adrian either. It was now July and I had confirmed there was no existence of Josh and no existence of Adrian. After this, I completely distanced myself from Kiana because I confirmed it. And then slowly after that, the other girls started distancing themselves from her as well. For me being the nice person I am, I never called Kiana out on this lie because I thought, you know, like, I know the truth. She knows the truth. What is the point in calling her out on it? Her and I really didn't speak for a long time, but I stayed friends with all the other girls. We did not talk all through year 9. She had lost all her friends by this point. We just did not cross paths. And then during the summer holidays between year 9 and year 10, I clearly remember because it was the day that I got my belly piercing done. She messaged me and she first said, hi, Alexis. And I was like, hey, how are you? And she was like, can I tell you something? All she said was, I lied about Josh. That's all she said. I replied to her and I was like, I know, like, I knew he wasn't real. And she was like, I'm sorry. I said something like, you know, it's okay, it's in the past. I made my peace with it a long time ago because I knew this guy was fake for like 2 years. I said to her, I'm pretty disappointed that she lied and I'm pretty disappointed that I had a friend that wasn't even real, but I didn't really care by that point. Her and I literally never spoke again. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you have a lovely day.
Story time on how me and my ex-best friend aren't friends anymore. You might want to grab a snack and sit down because this is going to be a lot. By the way, this is no hate whatsoever towards her. I do hope for the best for her. Just for some background, this has happened before in our friendship. A situation kind of like this that caused a huge breakup before. Also, she does go to a different school than me. She goes to my sister's school. She's like a grade younger. Anyway, so starting off, our whole friendship was like sideways. There was always something going on. Certain situations like friendships, boyfriends, school, anything like that, it was always, you know. In the past, she has broken up me and my ex-boyfriend out of a whole lie, and it was just a really big situation. I mean, in the end, we did break up. And throughout that period of time, she hated him. She didn't like me being with him. She would get upset if I hung out with him, even though I spent literally every single weekend with her. She just broke us up because she didn't want us together. So that should give you a little bit of background on this situation. So this starts off, and I'm sitting in class. I get a phone call from this girl, and she's telling me, did you see this account? I was absolutely confused. I was like, what account are you talking about? She told me, you know, the secret account that Rain has. Rain is the code name for my ex-best friend. I was like, absolutely not. Let me see this account. So she shows me it, and mind you, there's a whole bunch of girls by this girl, and they're all like talking about it. So she shows me it, and it's literally a whole bunch of videos about me. And the videos are a whole bunch of lies. And majority of those videos are based on me and my current boyfriend. Mind you, she'd always tell me, I hate your current boyfriend, and she'd sit there and make fun of him and say all these things about him when she knew I didn't feel comfortable with that and I didn't like it one bit. She just thought it was a big joke and she could say whatever she wants because she was my best friend at the time. time. Anyways, it was a whole bunch of videos bashing me, a whole bunch of lies. It was misleading lies about me personally and me and my boyfriend. And the whole reason for these videos was to get a hint of fame. You know how people make those accounts, those secret accounts, and try to blow up on them? That's exactly what she did, yet she used me, her best friend, to slander for fame. As I was looking through these, I'm not kidding you, my heart dropped and I started bawling. I was so confused on what this was even for. I was so confused because there was nothing going on at all. The entire time she was secretly having an account, blocked me and everybody that's related towards me, like friends, family, blocked. And she's sitting here bashing me for fame. And I just like to point out, at the time, she was slowly replacing me with a girl that she would talk insane things about. Like this girl, she would always be talking bad about her. And I didn't know it yet that she was replacing me until later on. Anyways, after I see all those videos, my first resort was to text her. So I sent her a really big paragraph and I made it the most respectful as possible. And I was heartbroken. I was devastated because my best friend of almost 3 years is sitting on social media bashing me for fame and making a whole bunch of lies about me just for fame. So when I texted her, she responded hours later, ignoring the whole paragraph and saying, yeah, we can talk later. We never talked later. And it's been weeks. And after I did send her that paragraph, I did notice she made another video about me. I was just so lost. I was confused on what I did in the first place. I did absolutely nothing but be there for her and comfort her, and I was a really good friend to her. And behind my back, she's sitting here and doing all this. She has chosen her boyfriend and this girl that she was replacing me with, and I didn't think much of it. So weeks go by and she's still talking bad about me, which I still have no idea for what reason. And meanwhile, during that time, her boyfriend is sitting there bullying my little sister at school. And on the lines of that, the girl that she was replacing me with the entire friendship, as soon as we stopped being friends, they were immediately best friends. They were together 24/7, doing the exact same things that me and her would do. So it shows how easily replaced I was. I don't know if this whole thing is based off of jealousy or what. I honestly am still confused to this day. I have no idea what caused this or what has happened. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I love you guys so much. Bye.
What is the one thing a friend has to do to get cut off by you? I'll go first. So it was one girl in college that I really hit it off with. We became really close really fast. We had the same friend group. We were around the same people all the time. Everyone got along just right. And in college, I was really involved. I was an ambassador. I was in AITP. I was in NAACP. I was in BSU. LSU, not this one. She was involved just like me, but she wasn't in the same involvement groups that I was in. So as I started getting involved in these groups, obviously the more events that happened on campus and the more involved that I was in, I didn't want her to feel abandonment. So I wanted to bring her with me as much as possible. So the event happened and I brought her over. I introduced her to everybody. So it was time to play card games. So we all sat at the table together and we were playing Uno. It was a cool little mixture of people. And of course, there was boys at the table. But mind you, we have the same friend groups. We've been around the same guys before. I would never expect her to do what she's about to do. So this guy came and sat by me and of course he was flirting. He was trying to holler or whatever. I wasn't paying any mind because I was already talking to someone at the time. So fast forward, the vibes was going, the cards were going, and so was this girl's mouth. She would not stop talking about my business and what I was doing at this table with like 15, 20 other people. And it started off subtle. It was like, oh, Jenna, are you still going over Jenna, how did it go with Professor da-da-da? I know you felt that test. I'm like, girl, like, what's your problem? She just would not stop. But I let it slide because maybe she's just excited. Maybe she's just, I don't know. But what crossed the line for me is when she was just getting aggressive. What do you mean by that, Jenna? Like, if I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe y'all picked for me. Girl, shut the what are you talking about? And this girl doesn't even curse. I would make a joke and be like, aha, you forgot to say uno out. And she'll be like, stop playing with me. I'm looking like, hold on. Things got extremely awkward because everybody's looking like, aren't y'all supposed to be friends? Like, or they didn't know whether to laugh or to be scared because she was really doing a lot. You would not think that we were friends when you walked in that room. To me, this was her showing off at this point because I'm like, girl, you don't even talk like this and you not like this. So why are you trying to act like this? Is there a guy you like in here? And lo and behold, it was. So then we move on to the cup game. You know, the head, shoulders, toes, and you grab the cup. That's what we did. So the game was going. And of course, her and I were partners and we teamed up against each other. So they started calling the calls: head, shoulders, elbows, cup. And I lost, she won because she grabbed the cup before me, obviously. And when I tell y'all, this girl got in my face, yeah, get it, yeah. But she was overdoing it. She was spitting in my face. Like, that's how bad it was. It was to a point where our homeboys was like, whoa, like, y'all good, like, what's up? It was so awkward. I was like, yeah, are you good? Like, what's up? girl, I was just playing with you. What you mean? And I'm like, no. And at this point, I'm like, nah, you was playing. We were at Uno. You was telling my business. You was playing at Uno when you was embarrassing me in front of these guys. You were playing in my face when you got in my face. Like, it's all these I'm playing. When in reality, you've never played like this with the year and a half we've been friends. So what's really going on? Y'all, by the end of that night, everybody knew who I was talking to, what classes I was failing, where I lived, what I was crying about last week. Like, everybody knew my business because of this girl. And I was like, wow. Like, I was baffled, flabbergasted, discombobulated, and combusted. Mind you, there was no alcohol at this event. So she was not acting like this because she was tipsy. This was a school-funded organization event. There was no alcohol. So we get in the car and she tries to act normal. Like, this is the friend that I remember driving here with. Talking like she didn't just tell all of my business and embarrass me to the fullest at this event. At this point, I knew what she was doing. She liked a few guys in there. She was showing off. Like, I get it, but at the end of the day, that's not how you do that. Honestly, I wasn't even mad that she did all that. It was the fact that it came out in front of all these people and I felt like you did it on purpose. I was also shocked to know that this was a completely different side of you that I've never even met before. Even though we've been around guys together, we've been around the same friend group. I would never act like that around other people, and I would never act like that when you're introducing me to someone, especially at an event that you work at. I didn't completely cut her off. I definitely kept her at a distance, but I for sure would never and have never invited her to another event or brought her around anyone else because I just felt like that was too much. Because people, she didn't talk about my accomplishments or talk about anything else. She talked about everything that was happening bad in my life. And to me, you were waiting for the opportunity to say that. Y'all let me know, but until next time, peace, love, and applesauce. Bye.
About the time a bridesmaid raised her voice at me while I was doing her makeup. Okay, I'm gonna set the scene for you. So I'm doing a wedding, and one of the first bridesmaids that I did makeup on kind of pulled me to the side after getting done with her makeup, and she was like, I just want to let you know that the sister of the bride is gonna be very difficult. And I was like, oh my god, good to know, thank you for telling me. Never met this girl before. So I was like, I mean, I think I can deal with it. Like, I've had my fair share of difficult bridal party members, especially moms. So at this point, I feel pretty confident. But, you know, it was a good heads up and I appreciated it. So said bridesmaid sits down to get her makeup done, and she has lots of inspo photos, which I love, and she has a pretty clear idea of what she wants her makeup to look like, which I absolutely love. She wanted a very pretty bronzy glam, which I absolutely thought would be perfect for her. And so we did that look, and I thought that it absolutely slayed, and it was gorgeous. I was obsessed with it. She really loved it, and I always save lipstick for everybody until the very, very end. Like, literally when I'm about to pack up and leave, I do lipstick and touch-ups on everybody. So at the end of each glam that I do, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do your lips at the very end, so that way if you need any touch-ups or anything, we can do it then, and that way you don't have to worry about eating your lipstick off, and you can drink and everything, and you don't have to worry about messing up your lipstick. So I finished her glam, and she likes it, besides a few minor changes, which is normal. She was happy, so I was like, we made it, like, we did it, we're good, we're out of the woods. I was wrong. So she comes back over for her touch-ups, and to get her lip color at the end, I'm done with everybody else, and she sits down and she starts trying to describe this very specific lip color to me. And what I typically like to do is just put on something, if it's either neutral or bold, and then we can kind of add more pink to that if it needs more pink, or we can add more warm tone, nude, whatever, depending on, you know, what the goal is. So I start putting on a lip color, and I showed it to her in the mirror, and she did not like it. She was like, no, this is ugly. And I was like, oh, okay. So she tells me she wants more pink, so I add more pink. We put that on, and she takes a look at it, and she's like, no, I hate this. This is ugly. And then she starts getting loud, and I was like, I understand this is frustrating, but I'm gonna need you to not. But I just stand there and kind of take it because, you know, what am I supposed to do? But she's just like, I hate this. This is so ugly. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then, like the angel she is, the bride comes over and she saves me, and she's like, listen, this lip color looks good on you and you need to stop being dramatic. Like, at this point, everybody had heard the bridesmaid like literally yelling at me, so everybody was looking, and she was like, no. Like, at the end of the day, of course, I want to make everyone happy, but unfortunately, some people you can't please. Anyways, bride comes over, saves the day. I can see the bridesmaid, like, still kind of stuttering, saying what she wants to say, like, what she wants to fix about her lipstick. And I'm like, you know what? I'll still try to work on it a little bit, and I'll give you some different options to play around with once I leave, because at this point, it's time for me to pack up and go. And, you know, I want to finish touching up everybody so that I'm not holding anybody up. because, you know, there's other things involved in a wedding day besides just getting your makeup done. Okay, and now for what did I learn from this experience? So, I mean, of course, this is a frustrating and like overwhelming day. There's a lot of things going on, lots of moving parts. So I understand that people get frustrated really easily and sometimes they just lash out. It happens. And I try to be very empathetic towards that. And also, people have a very specific vision sometimes of exactly what they want. And I don't always see that vision the same way that they do. And again, totally fine. So my job in these types of situations is to try to make everybody feel beautiful, of course, and do what I can with what I have to try and make their vision come to life. And sometimes that requires a little like trial and error, but my ultimate goal is making sure that everybody is happy. So, you know, I try to keep the situation calm and, you know, just bring everybody back down. Like, okay, so let's think about what we want to change about, you know, whatever's wrong with your makeup and how we can go about fixing that. And I'm going to do my best to help it happen. I also have learned, though, that at the end of the day, some people just cannot be pleased. And you're just going to, you know, not be able to make them happy. And it is what it is. And I will still try to do my best. But some people are just not going to be happy with anything that you do. So if you're a baby makeup artist or an experienced makeup artist, I just want this to be your daily reminder that you cannot please everybody. And all of your clients are not always going to be happy with the work that you do. And that's okay. You're not for everybody, and that's fine. You're never gonna have every client be happy with everything that you do. It's just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But you just do your best. You're great at what you do. You're gonna be successful. I love you. I believe in you. And that's pretty much it for today. And my glam is pretty much done. And I feel like it turned out really, really cute. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a great day. I love you, and I will see you again soon.
Am I the asshole for kicking my maid of honour out of my wedding with only 5 days notice? Because I don't think so. So I'm getting married in a couple of days, and this all happened a few weeks ago. But my maid of honour, let's call her Mary, she was in charge of the hen party, and I wanted it to all be a surprise, so I didn't want to know anything about it. None of us live in the city, so I was hoping for maybe like a hotel night stay over with all of the friends for a couple of fun nights, with maybe some hen do activities. We all live pretty locally, but 2 girls actually had to fly in. So 2 weeks ago, Mary picked me up on the way to go to the hen party. We ended up going to Mary's townhouse and spending the whole weekend there. So there was actually 8 of us all together, and we kept running into issues because there was only one bathroom. On Friday, we had games and ordered pizza. On Saturday, we went to a mimosa bar, we went shopping, and we watched a movie before us all parting ways on the Sunday. It wasn't exactly the hen do of dreams, and it was very quick and not very fun, but I appreciated it anyway. But last weekend, my fiance came back from his work trip, and I was just catching him up. So I was just filling him in about everything we did and we got up to. He kind of went quiet and looked very confused, but didn't say anything else that evening. And then the next day I got a message from Mary asking if we could meet and talk about something. Then she revealed to me that my fiance gave her a significant amount of money to plan my hen do and to go all out for basically a full week of fun activities, planes, hotels, all that kind of stuff. I wasn't even expecting that for the hen do, but going to Mary's house wasn't exactly what I planned for. But at the time, I didn't really care just because I was with all of my friends. Then she revealed she spent all the money on her credit card debt and some other expenses. And she hoped no one would notice. I told her I needed some time to process, so I went home and spoke to my fiance. And he was shocked, obviously, and we both come to the decision that we were going to kick her out of the wedding. So we just thought we'd remove her from the wedding. I came to this decision because I just feel like I can't trust her anymore. And I wouldn't want her standing next to me in the wedding knowing what she's done and thought she could get away with it. I slept on it, and then I sent her a text on Monday just explaining everything. Since then, I've been getting messages from her mum and a boyfriend saying how awful I am, and saying that I didn't need a big party anyway, and that Mary can financially benefit from this. My family are also against this because they said she's like family, and the bridal party are split, with half saying that I shouldn't have kicked her out and the other half saying obviously yes, you should have. Mary has since called me crying, saying that she's really upset because she can't wear her bridesmaid dress anymore, but me and my fiance paid for all the bridesmaid dresses anyway. At this point, I kind of just want the wedding to be over with. I just want to be on my honeymoon away from all of this. So was my reaction too extreme, or was it valid?